job thing. A substantial amount of money. Now, we've already gotten some of that money here in Oregon for road projects and stuff like that, and maybe even the Dundee bypass will eventually.
Well, there you go.
I mean, that's a good one, you know. I mean, imagine 119,000, whatever the hell it is, dollars. I mean, $1 million. That's a lot of scratch. So.
Well, there's a lot of the infrastructure that really needs improving.
Oh my goodness sakes!
You know,
we're a mess.
That's right.
You know, even when I ran for office in 2004, when I ran for state senate,
yes,
there were 735 or something like that bridges that were in emergency condition in the state of Oregon.
And that was
now 2004. We're talking about.
Yeah.
Now they have worked on 400 of them, which means roughly half.
Okay.
But they ran out of money. Now we're talking about the emergency stuff. In other words, this bridge is they have a certain code that they use for this bridge is not condemned, but it's getting toward condemned. And that's just one problem. But the point is, the people, and we're talking about the average person who's worried about his job these days, the ordinary so-called middle class people, they're not sitting worrying about some bridge falling down. What they're worried about is job security. Am I going to continue not only my job, but look at all the small businesses that have gone under, and big business. Eddie Bauer just went into Chapter 11 today, or yesterday.
That was a shock.
Well, I know. So was it a shock when G.I. Joe went in?
Yes.
Chapter 11. He's finished now. They closed up a week or so ago. People are worried, you know, in terms of disaster like the one that the Bush administration left to this administration. The question is, what are the priorities? Well, the priority is, who the hell are you talking to? If you're talking to the average person, they're worried about job security. Do I have a job? Am I going to keep the job? If I don't have a job and I lost my job and I'm laid off, can I get another job? What can I do to fill in? And 2 weeks later or 2 months later, can I pay my mortgage? What am I going to do to pay my mortgage? What am I going to do to feed my family? That's the main worry of people. And then after that, now Obama is working on that and has been working on it, but it doesn't show because it's all working from the top down, getting the banks straightened out, the credit markets and all that other stuff. So he can't be blamed for that. Some of these phony polls that come out. Of course, there's one poll, a Pew Research poll, which I always consider, it's a nonpartisan poll. Last month, he was 60%. His personal approval rating was 60%. As of today or yesterday, it was 63.5%. So
it had gone up.
Well, yeah. So whatever he's doing, and those points count. Although you do hear some from, well, to be very frank with you, the Republican right, their position is, in order to give their party identity, this is apparently what they're doing, they're going to say no to everything on the off chance that one of their no's is going to catch on. And that's going to somehow establish some kind of credibility for the party in the next House and Senate elections or something. I don't know what their weird plan is, but that ain't the way it goes, because all they do is saying no, and they're not offering anything in return except a budget freeze, a payout freeze. In other words, we're not going to spend any more government money.
No, I mean,
that'll go over big.
Yeah, where's the concern for the ordinary citizen? You say
none, because I don't think they have much contact. I mean, I don't want to slam the Republican Party too much, because we're talking about the Republican Party. We're only talking about the right wing of the Republican Party, which long ago took over the Republican Party. Yeah. They're still moderate, Susan Collins, moderates and stuff like that, from Maine and those kind of people, although they're shrinking in number for sure. And they have been shrinking for quite a while. So it's basically a Southern party now.
Tell me, we've been talking about the economy. We've also been talking about education. What about health care?
Health care probably, well, let's review health care just a little bit. I don't want to keep referring to my candidacy in 2004, but there was no question in my mind, in my political handler's mind, that the number one issue in the state of Oregon, and we felt very much so about the rest of the nation, was health care. Very simple. I can't afford health insurance was all you heard from anybody. Just to give you an illustration, George Robertson, who has that newspaper over in Sheridan, he called me up one day and he said, you know, I hear you do great door-to-door stuff with people, and I'd like to go along with you and write a little piece. I said, of course, hell, I'm running for office, you know. I get in the car, he gets in the car with me, and I said to him, now, George, I'm going to just pick up any old neighborhood, pick a neighborhood. And I said, I can tell you right now, the first door that we're going to go to, all they're talking about is health care. Can't pay for insurance, can't pay for prescription drugs, something like that. That's all you're going to hear. And then when we go to the next house, it's going to be the same thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. We go to this house, and an elder, when I say elderly woman, she was probably my age or older, which means that she's on Social Security. So I said to her, I used to make a little pitch about what I want to do and this and that and so on. And I'd say, I always finish this little pitch at the door by saying, if I get elected, what would you like me to do? What do you think I should do?
Yes.
And you'd get some interesting answers, but in this particular campaign, there was only one answer: do something about health care. I said, what are you talking
Now, this is when you ran, how many years ago?
5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
Do something about health care, she said. Now, this is the truth, Frank. And I said, well, is anybody in your household on Medicare? Because I didn't want to insult her. She said, oh, yeah, my husband and I both. But he took a job with so-and-so lumber company so he can get some prescription drug. And this is after the Bush prescription drug thing went in. And she said, he's having. And I said, well, what kind of cost do you have for prescription drugs? She says, $800 a month.
What?
$800 a month.
$800 a month?
$800, just an ordinary house, ordinary people. You know, people get illnesses, they need $800 worth of drugs a month. It's also a reflection on the drug companies for sure, but the manner in which doctors, busy doctors, prescribe is a pill for everything, and it keeps them from having to do other things. And I'm not being critical of doctors, it's part of the business. But anyway, we go down the street, 2 doors down, I walk, beautiful house, beautiful, nice new house, all crisp windows on it and everything. And a very pretty young woman with 2 little kids playing on the floor. She opens the door. I do my pitch and I ask the question. And she says, I said, you know, what do you think I should do? She says, do something about health insurance. I said, she looks like she's pretty well off. And I said, well, you know, don't you have, she said, hell, we don't have health insurance. We can't afford health insurance. I don't know what's going to happen to these 2 kids if something happens to them. And she told me her husband's a contractor, and you know his work is up and down, and he built this house, a beautiful house.
Yes.
But we're not talking about poor people on food stamps.
Yeah.
We're talking about ordinary middle-class citizens.
Well, when are we going to come
wait,
around?
I want to just finish one.
Okay.
This is only one little street.
Yeah.
We curve around the street, and George has seen enough. 2 guys are standing, middle-aged guys are standing in the street. They see George, and they hail him. I pull the car over and roll the windows down, and they say, hey, George, how you doing, and stuff like that. And he says, this is Hank Franzoni. He's running for Senate and stuff like that. And I said to him, well, what do you think I should do, you know, if I get elected? They said, do something about health care and health insurance, both of them, and went into a big thing.
5 years ago.
That's 5 years ago. Now, what's the problem today? It's really not health care. Health care is probably number 2. The real problem today is very simple. I'm worried about my job, or I don't have a job. I don't know how the hell I'm going to pay my bills. It's so simple. That's the kind of mess we've been left with by the actions of these Wall Street, what do they used to call themselves in that book? Masters. There was a book out that came out years ago, and they called themselves, to each other, masters of the universe. These are kids right out of college making $250,000 a year, plus bonuses. Masters of the universe. Well, they dreamed up all of these, derivatives and all these crazy ass things that they're doing, and put us in this hole. And it's human greed that put us in this depression, just as surely as it was human greed in the big depression of the 30s.
In 1929.
There's parallels are